doing what he, claimed he do, like spiritually leading her. Um, so the first incident that happened, we had went to Miami, but we had drove there. At the time, me and my mom, we couldn't fly there or fly back because of like personal reasons. With that being said, the person that drove us down there to drive us back, they basically started saying their car was acting up, so we were stuck down there. So at the time, she was cool with him and she was explaining the story of how we were stuck down there. So he offered to come pick us up. He came in this, I think it was an SUV. It was like one of them eight seater trucks. It was me, my mom, my sister, my best friend, and my sister's father. And he had came along with somebody else. Throughout the trip, like each time that we would stop, if I was sitting like in the back seat, he would come in the back seat. If the next time we stopped and I moved to the front, hello?
You're freezing up. Yeah, you froze up a while ago.
Sorry about that. What was the last thing?
You
What was the last
said
thing?
you were driving, you were on a trip. Every time you go in the back seat, you also come in
So
the back seat.
each time where I switched seats, he would switch seats too. Um, one of the time we stopped at the gas station, he basically came in and he did it to me and my best friend, to where it's like he pulled me to the side and was like, "I'm feeling something in your spirit," and I was just like, "No, what are you talking about?" Then he was basically proceeded to say, "I know you're gay, and I know you don't want your family to know." At the time, I was like in the closet. I feel like everybody that has Caribbean parents know how it is coming out to Caribbean parents. So that was one of my biggest fears growing up. Like, with that being said, halfway through the trip, when the trip was finishing, I fell asleep and I woke up and
So
like his hands.
how old were you? How old were you at that time?
I was around 17. I was around
17.
like 17.
Okay.
Um,
I don't know how to
so then I woke
turn.
up.
They're telling me to turn off the comments, but I don't know how to. How do I turn off the comments, guys?
I'm not
This is
sure.
let me see question, no question. How do I turn the comments off? This I request
Honestly,
the boy.
the comments is not bothering me because
Okay.
this is something that, like, if I wanted to speak about this, I could have spoke about this before when it happened. I would have never waited years. My mother just found out 2 years ago. This
Right.
happened in 2017.
Yeah.
So after that incident happened, I woke up and I seen his hands on me. It was kind of, I pushed him away, and it was like I stayed to myself the rest of the ride.
So just to
And
be clear, you're saying he knew that he knew what you were,
right,
and him come and try use
correct,
against you. So at the
yeah,
time he knew, but your family did not know.
correct. With that being said, after that trip, I think we stopped at his house in Delaware, where I think we met his wife or whatever the case is. Um, that day, he went about his way. We went back home, or whatever the case is. Couple months later, almost a year.
They said
Um,
you should clear it up. Were you 17 or 16? Because they heard at the time when you met him you were 16.
I was turning 17.
Okay.
So with that being said, and I said 2016 is when I met him and when I went on the trip.
Right.
The whole incident to where everything happened, it happened later on in 2017 because we seen him again. My
Yeah.
mom was cool
So
with
he
him.
molested you in 2017, but you met him in
Correct.
2016. But you're getting there to the story. We just want to
Correct.
clear that up.
Right. I'm just trying to explain
How
the little
everything
things that
happened.
happened that led there.
Okay.
Um, with that being said, there was an incident to where Me and my mom, we fell out, and we was talking for like 6 months. One day I got called over to my mom's house because my mom was. We lived at two separate houses. Like if you know, well, most people that know where I'm from in Brooklyn, how where my family stayed at. So I got called over there. He was there. My mom was there. My best friend, a tattoo artist, was there. We was all getting tattoos. I didn't get one or whatever. Because that's the same time my best friend got a tattoo. My mom got a tattoo. With that being said, the night was getting low, and at the time, I guess he wasn't gonna drive back to Maryland or wherever he was staying at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So he was trying to find a hotel. With that being said, my mom asked me, which at the time she didn't know how I felt towards him, because after that first incident, I tried to make sure like I always stayed far. I ended up having to basically show him where the hotel was, or drive with him to go to the hotel, and he was supposed to basically Uber me back home. We went. We live in Brooklyn, past the hotel in Brooklyn, and we ended up at a hotel in Queens. With that being said, when I got him to the hotel, I was like, okay, so am I going back home now? And he was like, no. As far as like the in between conversations, like it wasn't much of it because it was nerve wracking. It was like, I was told to drop your head. Me knowing how it was or whatever the case is, I necessarily didn't want to be around this dude at all. What made everything kind of transpire is because he told me that he was going to tell my family about me being gay. And for me and my family, that would have probably been the biggest like falling out. It would have been a whole issue. And at the time, I'm 17. I have nowhere to stay for my own, or whatever the case is. With that being said, one thing led to the next, to where it's like I wasn't able to leave or get home until I did what he told me to do. Even straight
So when
down
you
to
got
it,
to the
like,
when you got to the hotel, you said you weren't able to leave.
yeah, like we was in Queens at the time. Like my mom, she had gave him money because she was giving him money as well. So I was the one that had the funds on me,
So your mom gave him the money.
correct? And I'm gonna just point out, like my mom, like at the time, still at that time, she didn't know anything that was happening. So one thing led to the next,